Hey everyone, today I'd like to show you this exercise on chicken broiler production planning. If you're a businessman or a company owner who would like to do a poultry business producing chicken broiler in the farmhouses, this exercise would be useful for you. And I'm gonna automate this exercise, creating macro and writing the VBA codes in order for this exercise of planning to be effective and efficient. Let's say, for example, if you're going to produce 1 million of bird as your production volume for one cycle, and there will be 7 batches in 1 year if assuming a short downtime between cycles is being considered. So in order for us to be able to effectively plan the production volume, we need and come up with the requirements. We need these parameters for you. We need to find out, or we need to find out from the businessman or the company owner how much volume they would like to produce in one cycle. And along the way, when you're growing your chicken in the farmhouses, there will be mortality. Okay, there will be dead birds. Along the growing of the bird in the farmhouses, and we should determine the percentage of the mortality rate. It could be 5%, 6%, depending on where you are growing the bird or the zone that you grow your bird. Like, for example, if you are growing it in Asia, are you growing it in Europe? Are you growing it in the Americas, or are you growing it in the Middle East? So the climate or the temperature or the humidity will play a big factor in the growing of the birds and be able to minimize the mortality of the bird. And the other parameters will be the feeds that we're going to provide to the farmhouses, because we have to feed the birds from DOC or from day-old chicks that are going to be placed in the farmhouses. And there are three types of feeds that we're going to provide in farmhouses. And the farmhouses could be company owned, built by the company, or it could be owned by a business partner in contract growing agreement that the company has entered into with the business partner. So the first type of feed is the starter feed, and it will be measured in kilogram, how many kilograms that we're going to feed the bird in one bird, and the efficiency of this will be measured in FCR, feed conversion ratio, which I'm going to discuss later also. Okay, the second one would be the grower feed, and the third stage would be the finisher feed. This is the feed that we're going to feed our bird before slaughtering it in the processing plant. So the starter feed will be started on the day all chicks. This is between 0 to 14 days of feeding the bird. The second stage would be the grower feed. This is from 15 to 28 days of feeding. And the last stage of feeding the bird is the finisher feed. Okay. This is from 29 to 42 days of growing the broiler chicken in the farmhouses. Also, we need to find out another parameter is the house capacity. How many birds are going to fit in one house? Okay. And how many houses that we're going to need for the determined or targeted production volume targeted by the owner of the company or the businessman. And we need to find out the processing of the birds in terms of the number of birds that are going to be produced in the processing plant per hour of operation. Okay, so for the uh, for the houses, we need to find out number of birds per house, and then how many houses are we going to install, or we're going to build internally by the company or externally by a business partner. So in processing plant, we have to do some processing like cutting off the heads or cutting off the feet of the bird or removal of the feathers. And there are machinery that are going to do these processes inside the processing plant. And another process is the evisceration. The evisceration is the process of removing the internal organs of the birds from a bird carcass or the gastrointestinal tracts that we're going to remove, doing it in the processing plant that the company is going to build or the business partner is going to build for the company. Uh, and the internal organs, the feathers, the bone, the feet, and the heads will also be sold as byproducts by the company in a certain amount of money, the price in a lower price, because the main products would be the carcass or would be the chicken broiler meat that we're going to, you know, be selling into the supermarkets, public markets, um, restaurants and hotels, okay, and other customers. So in order for us to be able to, to determine the requirements like the DOC or D old chicks, how many D old chicks we are going to be needing or be requiring in order, for example, in order for us to be able to come up with a 1 million production volume of birds, and how many uh, starter feed in terms of kilogram and the grower feed total, the finisher feed total, the number of houses grower house that the contract grower is going to have or the company, if it's internally built, is going to have on the processing hours. We're all going to find out easily by, automating the process by having a or creating a macro, then writing all the VBA codes. There are only two groups of macro that we're going to need for this. One is for the data entry form that we're gonna have, and then the calculate of the parameters. Okay, so the entry form or the user form will be the same as the calculate parameters, only that the calculate parameters will be done here in this worksheet, and you could make many changes if you want to make changes like the change in production volume, change in mortality rate. You can play with it, in order for you to be able to come up with these requirements. So to start off, I'd like to access the developer tab and the Visual Basics in order for me to start working on the module that I'm gonna write. And as you can see, I've already prepared, I already opened a module one, and then a user form, which I already have it here. And I have created this before. All I have to do is just write the code, but at first I'm gonna do the module one. The module one will be okay. I'm gonna create function for the DOC requirement, function for the feed requirement, okay, and function for the houses requirement, and if the last one would be function for the uh, to calculate the processing plant operating hours to process the bird that is being that has been harvested from the farmhouses. So to start, I'm also gonna you know create the macro for the user form. rather the macro for the calculating the parameters. Okay, but first I'm gonna start with the function. So the function, um, which is the DOC, the all chicks, underline requirement. Okay, production volume. By the way, the function is a function is a calculation that is performed that returns a value. So what we're going to have is we're going to have equations here in order for us to be able to come up or return a value of the thing that we want to calculate, or the requirement, like the UC requirement. So it's going to be production volume as double. Double is like number with decimal places, and then the next one is mortality rate. Okay, as double. And then, okay, okay, that's okay. We're gonna have the okay function. We start with the function, then it will be as double, as double. I'm gonna close it. Then I'm gonna say as double again. Okay, I think that's okay. So what I'm gonna have is I'm gonna get the equation for this, and it would be DOC underline required equals production volume. Production volume slash or divide by 1 minus mortality rate. Right? Then that's it. That would be our calculation or equation for this function, the DOC requirement. And the next function we're gonna have is the for the feed requirement. Okay, animal feed requirement. Oh, sorry. So the function would be feed requirement, feed underline required. So it would be DOC as double. At the same time, we're also declaring our variables, okay, as double. Starter as double. Okay. Then, of course, grower as double. Then, finisher, of course, double again. And then, that's it. I'm gonna say as double. All of these are double. Okay. So what would be our equation for this? I'm gonna say feed as required, underline required, equals DOC, the old chicks, multiply by uh, the three feeds. Okay. One is the starter plus the grower plus the finisher. Right. So that would be for the right. Then the third function that I'm gonna create is for the houses requirement. Okay, function houses underline required. All right. We're gonna say production volume. Important, very important is the production volume because that would be the basis of the planning, production planning. As double again. Okay. Then house capacity. How many birds is going to fit inside the house? 20,000, 30,000, you know, as double, as double. Okay. Then equation would be houses, underline, required, application. Okay, that's ceiling. Um, Again, production volume. Be careful with your spelling. Otherwise, they're gonna be, uh, error later on. And house capacity, divide by house capacity. So if our house capacity is let's say for example our house capacity is 25,000 birds that are going to fit in one house. Okay, we're going to divide the production volume, let's say 1 million divided by 25,000. That would be the number of house that we're gonna need for growing the birds. Okay, and that would be one. Okay, let me check again. All right, so n function. Okay, the third or the fourth function. Okay, we're already on the fourth function. This is houses. Okay, we need another function. What function to calculate? The function to calculate processing plant hours required, to process the bird, the evisceration process, cutting of heads, the cutting of uh, feet of the birds, removal of the feathers, this kind of thing, you know. Hours, underline required. Okay. Then, of course, we're gonna base it again from production volume as double, production volume. Okay, as double, comma, plant capacity, plant, plant capacity as double, then as double. Okay. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna, do a statement, condition statement. If plant capacity is equal to 0, then um, hours underline required equals 0. This is to prevent division by 0, okay? Or else hours underline required equals production volume divided by plant capacity. All right, plant capacity. All right, nothing else. So we're gonna say end f. Okay, then end function, which already here. Okay, so what I'm gonna do next now, I'm gonna create a macro to update our report, because what we're gonna need is this calculate parameters. We're gonna need a macro for this. So I'm gonna write the VBA codes for this. So therefore, I'm going back to Visual Basic. Then the macro would be called report. So sub update report. Right? That would be our macro. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna declare all the variables. Okay, I'm gonna declare all variables. Right? So I'm gonna say dim ws the worksheet as worksheet. Then right away I'm gonna set the ws equals this workbook. That sheets. Remember the sheet that we have in the Excel, which is called, I think, summary. We're going back there. See, the name of the sheet is summary. So that would be the, okay, it should be summary. It should be the same spelling. Otherwise, again, we're going to have problems, errors. Okay. Now I'm gonna, you know, declare all other variables, retrieve values from user form if active. So this would be the dim production volume. This would be production volume as double. And then dim again, mortality rate as double again. Then the next one would be the starter feed. Dim starter feed as double. Then dim grower feed as double. You know already the following, the next one would be dim finisher feed as double. Right? Then we're gonna need the house capacity. So dim house capacity as double. Then the last one would be dim plant capacity. Our operating hours requirement to process the harvested broiler. So it's gonna be dim again, and that would be plant capacity, processing plant capacity, right? As double. Now we're gonna start. We're gonna get the values from the actual worksheet. No, this would be the same as the user form, but okay, this is okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get the production volume is equal to WS worksheet range. Okay, um, it's gonna be B2. Okay, in range B2, that value. All right. Then the next one will be mortality rate. Okay, mortality rate equals WS range. So what would be the range? That would be B3, that value. Next one would be starter feed. Okay, equals, okay, starter feed equals WS range. B4, that value. Then grower feed equals WS range. Okay, that would be in B5. You understand what I'm trying to do here? Okay, let's find out. Okay, before I forget the closing parenthesis. Okay, let's go to the Excel. Okay, right? The range that we're getting at is the B2 for the production volume, B3, uh, column B, row 3, mortality rate, starter feed, B4, B5, grower feed, finisher feed, B6, B7, and B8. So from B2 to B8, right? So going back to the Visual Basic, so that's what we're trying to do. B2, B3, B4, B5. Then the next one will be B6, which is this finisher feed. Finisher feed equals WS that range. Okay. B6, that value. Okay. Okay. The next one would be the house capacity. House capacity, right, equals WS that range from spelling. That range, that would be B7. B7. That value. The last one would be the plant capacity, hours. For the hours. plant capacity. WS, that range. This one would be B8. B8, that value. Okay, no mistake. Production volume, the range B2, B3. The spelling is okay. The range is okay. Or from B2 to B8, that's okay. Okay, so that would be our, when we are going to transfer the information or the value. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to perform the calculations. This is also the same as the user form. So I'm gonna do the total DOC, the old chicks, is equal to production volume. Production volume slash parenthesis 1 minus mortality rate. Okay, then gonna close it. Okay, and okay, we're gonna calculate also the total feed. So we're gonna say total feed equals total DOC multiply times okay, all you have to do is start all. Okay, starter feed, all the feeds, starter feeds, starter feed plus grower feed plus finisher feed. Okay, then close it. Okay, then the next thing is I'm gonna be doing a conditions statement to make some calculations. So if house capacity is greater than 0, then houses required, underline required, equals application dot worksheet function dot ceiling. The ceiling, okay, let me check. There should be a parenthesis, then production volume slash house capacity, house capacity, comma, 1, close parenthesis, or otherwise, or else house houses required equals not applicable. Of course, if it is less than 0, you know, so that would be because the house capacity is greater than 0, then you're gonna have the numbers of houses But if it is less than 0, meaning negative, then that would be not applicable. Slash applicable. All right. Then last, NF. And F. Then I'm gonna do another condition. If plant capacity is greater than 0 again, then processing hours processing processing hours is equal to production volume, okay, production volume slash plant capacity, okay, else else processing hours, again I would say not applicable. Okay, then NF. Then next, I'm gonna, update the worksheet. We're gonna update the worksheet by ws.range. Okay. Um, this would be B10, B11, B15, and B16. Here in Excel, it would be B10, B11, B B15, and B16. Okay, so that would be our ranges. So WS range is B10. Always put a quotation mark for our ranges so that we'll have no problem. Okay, like that value, because we're gonna be putting in values here, then equals to rounding off the decimal, so it would be total, so that we don't have decimal points. Okay, this is not important, but you can also do this just for the sake of exercise. Okay, so you just rounding off. Round means rounding off the decimal places, make it a whole number. WS that range, and the next one I show it to you earlier would be B11. Okay, don't forget the quotation mark and then close it, then that value. Okay, equals, again I'm gonna round it. Okay, but this time it's for the feed, total feed. Okay, comma 0, no decimal places. All right, then the next one would be on B15. WS that range. Okay, B15, that value equals houses required. Okay, required. Okay, then the next one would be on B16. I'm gonna copy this. Okay, Control V. Okay, then this would be 16 row. Column B 16 row. That value, and this would be processing hours. Processing hours. All right. Before we end it, I need to put a message box for the whoever is encoding the data will understand that it was successful. So our message would be report updated successfully. All right. Then BB information, comma, update, complete. Okay. Then quotation mark. Okay. Then end sub. What I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna add a macro. Remember the entry form? We're gonna put a macro in that entry form. So it's gonna be sub. Uh, I would say broiler entry form. We're gonna have this form. Enter. This is simple. Just say user form. Since only one user form, we're gonna say user form one. That's you. We're just gonna open it and then end sub. That's it for our module one. Okay, and the next one would be the user form. Right. I'm gonna show you the code for the user form. View code, or rather, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click on the calculate. Okay, so that we have the private sub already. All right. That then this would be shorter, so no problem and very easy to do. Okay. The first one is I'm gonna declare the variables that would be dim WS as worksheet. All right. Then right away, I'm gonna set WS equals this workbook. That sheets. Okay. Remember the worksheet. It was summary worksheet, right? So quotation, close, enter. Then we're gonna declare another dimension or variables, and then this one would be we would get values from the form. Okay, we would get values from the form. So it would be dim. Okay, production volume rather, production volume as double. Okay, just comma, then mortality rate as double. Mortality rate as double. Then starter feed as double again. And then grower feed. Grower feed as double, comma, then finisher feed as double again. Right? Then another dim. I'm gonna do it next here. Dim house capacity as double. Okay, what's next? Of course, the plant capacity. Plant capacity as double again. Double. Then we're gonna set the production volume. We're gonna do the equation now. Production volume equals val. What is val? Val is value. Okay, value, right? Stands for value, converts the string containing numbers to an actual number. Okay, just like if you have VBA, for example, ABC 1, 2, 3, 4, then just get the 1, 2, 3, 4, the numbers only. All right. I'm gonna put a parenthesis. This is for the text boxes, text production. I'm gonna capitalize this so that for us to be able to see it right away. Volume, that value. Then close it. Mortality rate equals value text mortality rate, text box mortality rate. All right. That value, I'm gonna be putting some values in this, and then close it. Then slash 100. This is to convert percent to decimal. Okay. All right. So the next one would be starter feed. Starter feed equals value. Okay, text box, starter feed, that value. Close it. Then grower feed equals value text grower feed, that value. Close. Then finisher feed equals value, then open parenthesis txt finisher feed. Okay, that value. Close. Then house capacity equals value parenthesis text house capacity. House capacity that value close. Then plant capacity equals value text plant capacity. That value close. Then next, we're going to calculate the DOC requirement, right? So we're gonna declare the dimension, the variables for this. It would be dim DOC as double, right? Then DOC is equal to production volume, production volume slash uh, open parenthesis 1 mortality rate minus mortality rate okay, and then we're gonna okay, this is wrong. Okay, in terms of the in terms of the in terms of the calculate the feed requirement. Okay, calculate feed requirement. Okay, I've done the DOC requirement. Now we're gonna do the calculate. I'm gonna calculate. I'm gonna declare the variable as well. The total feed as double. Okay, then it would be total feed equals DOC times, okay, it should be all the feeds will be added. Okay, starter feed plus grower feed plus finisher feed, then just close it. Okay, all the spelling are okay, so it would be okay. So now we're gonna calculate the grower houses that's going to be needed in the farmhouses. So I'm going to declare the dimension or the variables. Dim houses as double. Okay. And then it should be houses equals to application dot ceiling, then production volume slash house capacity house capacity then comma 1, then close. Okay, then I'm going to calculate I'm gonna calculate the processing plant capacity or the hours needed to process the harvested broiler chicken. So again, I'm gonna declare the variables. It would be dim hours as double. Okay, hours equals production volume. Okay, slash plant capacity. Okay, Then now I'm gonna update the summary sheet. Okay, the B10, B11, B15, B16 in the summary worksheet. Okay, this is easy thing to do. WS dot range. Okay, B10, uh, B10, quotation mark, then close. Okay, that value equals DOC. Okay, just gonna copy this, Control C, and then Control V. Second one, third one, and fourth one. So it would be B10, B11, B15, and B16. This would be equals to total feed. Then the other one would be the houses, how many houses we need. And the other one would be the hours needed to process. Okay. Before we end, I'm gonna, I'm gonna uh, also include the message box. And the message would be calculations. Okay, completed. Okay. VB information. Then from the VB information would be broiler production plan. Separate word. All right. Then, okay, and sub. All right. Just one more. I'm gonna exit this one. Exit. Okay, this would be unload me. Simple as that. Unload me. That's it. And sub. All right. Now let me go back to the. Okay. Now I'm gonna assign the macro for this. Assign macro. It would be the update report. Click OK. And the show entry form. Assign the broiler entry form. Okay. All right. Now let me go to the entry form. Okay. This would be our data entry form. Okay. I'm going to enter the parameters for this for us to be able to come up with requirements. Let's say we're going to produce 1 million birds or broiler chicken. And let's say the mortality rate is 5%. The starter feed would be 1.5 kilogram per bird. And then the grower feed would be 2.5 kilogram per bird. And let's say the finisher feed would be 3 kilogram per bird. And the grower house capacity, let's say 25,000 birds in one house. And the operating hours in the processing plant, let's say 5,000. Okay, 5,000 birds per hour of operation. The evisceration, cutting of heads, cutting of feet, removal of feathers. This will all be done in the machine. Okay. Then I'm gonna calculate. Calculations complete. Okay. All right. So let's say, okay, I'm gonna exit this one. Let's say I'm gonna need 1 million birds, and then mortality rate is 0.05%. Starter is 1.5. Uh, the grower feed is like 2.5 kilogram per bird. The finisher is 3 kilogram. House capacity is 25, and the hours we need to, birds in 1 hour. Okay. All right. So in order for us to produce 1 million production birds, we need this DOC because of the mortality rate of 5%. Okay, we need DOC to from the hatchery plant. Okay, the old chicks. We need 1,500,000. Okay, because we got mortality of 5%. And the total feed that we need is 7. Okay, 7,003,502. These three I just divided in. Uh, you know, this is the formula that I got. Uh, you know, the starter feed divided by 7 because the total of this is 7. Okay, I just did not include this in the VBA. Anyway, this is a fixed formula. Multiplied by uh, DOC. Okay, that will be this one also. This is the formula, and this one. This is based from the total feed, which is included in the formulation in the VBA code. And then, okay, we got 1.5 million of kilogram, 1.5 million kilogram of grower feed, 2.5 million of grower feed, starter feed, grower feed, and finisher feed of 3 million. Then number of houses to grow our DOC and become broiler chicken. Okay, the number of houses is 40. Uh, each house will occupy uh, birds. 25,000 birds will occupy one house. This is birds per house. 25,000. Therefore, to grow, target of 1 million, we do see of 1,500,000. We need 40 houses. Okay. Then processing hours. Okay. How many birds we're gonna process in 1 hour? 200. So this is how you plan your chicken broiler production plan. All right. Let's say, for example, if you change your mind as a investor, as a company owner, you think 1 million is not enough. I need 1.5 million. I just did not include the financial, the aspect of this plan. This is just purely volume, parameters, etc. Okay, I did not include the capital that I need to raise 1.5 million. You know, uh, I did not include the cost of the broiler chick or DOC, DO chick. I did not include how much money per kilogram. So just purely volume parameters. Okay, 5%. So therefore, I'm going to calculate this because as an owner of the business, I said, okay, I'm gonna produce 1.5 million of bird. So how many DO chicks I need? And this is from previous. This is for 1 million DO chicks. So we're going to calculate. Okay, and then we have a problem. If house capacity is 0, house is required. Application that worksheet function. Dot ceiling. Production. Dot ceiling Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna debug this. This you have a compile error. A function call on left hand side of assignment must return variant or object. Just click OK. We have a problem here. Okay, in our function it says houses required application. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change this and just remove the underline as well as this one and remove the underline and then reset and then go back to Excel. Right? I'm gonna remove this. Um, gonna remove this one too, and this one. Okay. Um, I'm gonna remove this as well. Okay. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna calculate the parameters again. Calculate, updated complete, report update successfully. Okay. So therefore, in our 1.5 million, okay, our DOC requirement would be 1,578,947. Okay. Considering the production volume of 1.5 million and the mortality rate of 5%. Okay, and our total feed, the starter grower finisher feed would be 11 million. Okay, and the number of houses will be 60 houses and 300 processing hours. Okay, that is if we are going to produce 1.5 million. Let's say we're going to produce, okay, and then you know, we're gonna need more money because the will become 1,578,000. The DOC that we need to place in the farmhouses. So let's say we go back to 1 million. Okay, that would be 1 million. Let's say we're gonna change the mortality rate because in this area we have a high temperature, we got high relative humidity. Then we need to change the mortality, and let's say 6%. Okay, then we're gonna calculate. Okay, there are changes. Now the DOC, because it goes back to 1 million, but higher mortality rate of 6%, then the DOC requirement would become 1,063,830. The total feed would become 7,489. Okay, we still need 40 houses and 200 processing hours. Let's say we go back to 5% again, mortality rate, then calculate parameters. Okay, the parameters is recalculated, and the DOC requirement 1 million at 5% mortality would become 1,052,632 DOC, the old chicks that we're going to place in the farmhouses. Okay, and the total feed would become 7,410,000 total feed requirement, that is starter plus grower plus finisher, and the houses would remain at 40, 200 processing hours. Let's say we expect to produce 2 million per cycle. Okay, calculate. Okay, now we need more houses, 80 houses, and the processing hours will become 400. The feeds would become 14,821 kilograms, 1,000 kilograms. So there will be more money that we're going to put in our investment, to produce the feeds, to buy the old chicks. Now we're gonna need 2,105,263 the old chicks. Let us say we'll remain at mortality rate at 5%, but we're gonna make it for 500. Okay, less opportunity because from 1 million we just expect 500,000 production volume. So from 2 million day-old chicks and 14 million kilogram total feed, we calculate again 500,000. Okay. So therefore, the DOC, we just need 526. So this is a big money reduction, capital reduction, because we only expect production volume of 500,000 birds. Therefore, our day-old chicks will become 526 only. So, we cut by almost 500,000 of DOC requirement. And also, from 1 million production volume of birds at 5 mortality rate, we just need a total of 3,705,000 of total feed requirement. Okay? So we go back at 1 million, 1, 2, 3. Okay, enter. Okay, we remain at mortality rate of 5%. We cannot change this because this is the standard, kilogram consumption per bird. Perhaps this is depending on the kind of bird or DOC that we buy from the market or from the from the producer of from hatchery plant, producer of DOL chicks. Okay, like hybro, avian bird, depending. But this is normally the average of consumption per starter feed of 1.5 kilogram, 2.5 kilogram, 3 kilogram. Okay, we go back, calculate again. So again, we go back to day-old chicks of 1,052,000 day-old chicks requirement, a total of 7 million requirement of the 7.4 million requirement of total feeds. Then just 40, okay, 40 houses, grower houses, and then 200 processing hours. Let's say we're gonna say that we have bigger houses. Let's say the capacity would be double, 50,000, right? 50,000 birds that will fit per house. Calculate that. Okay. What happens? We only need 20. We only need 20 houses. So that is also a big cut in terms of, especially if it is a company-owned houses, they're a big cut, okay, of the houses. Because if we only have 20 houses, then that would be good to plan 1 million per cycle. So you see, whatever you put here, the input in the parameters in terms of the production volume, in terms of the mortality rate, in terms of the feed, this is standard, no problem. We cannot change that. But in terms of the house capacity, we increase. What about the processing plant? Okay, the dressing plant. We also change the dressing plant capacity. Also will change. Okay, we calculate again. Okay, calculate. Okay, what we have is 1 million, 5%, 25. Okay, this would be our requirements. 1,052,000 DOC, 7.4 million of total feed, 40 houses for growing our bird, and 200 processing hours. Okay. If you don't have enough capital, okay, we can cut this into half, 500,000. Okay. Calculate. Then we only need 526,000 birds. That's a lot of money saved. But of course, your opportunity for a bigger, profit or a bigger, sales, okay, of birds to the market will also reduce. Okay, so you can decide depending on your capacity, house capacity, depending on your processing plant capacity. Okay, you decide. And depending also of your feed mill capacity, how many you can produce. Say in 500,000, you will only produce 3,700,000 kilogram of feeds that you're going to produce in the feed mill plant. All right. So depending on your resources, depending on your capital, the investment that you're going to put in, whether you're going to, to build your own, your own plants, your own houses, farmhouses, your own processing plant, your own feed mill plant, they are already in place, and then you have a bigger equity. Okay, you don't need to, apply for a bigger loan in the bank. So depending on your resources, okay, on your capital investment. So whether you own or not the plant, you have your own hatchery plant, you have your own houses in the farm, you have your own processing plant, and you have your own feed mill plant. That will depend. Okay, and of course, your working capital, because you are buying DOC, you are buying feed ingredients, raw materials that you're going to, to be needing in your business. So this exercise would be good for you if you are a business owner, business uh, or a company owner. You own the company. This would be a big decision making that they're going to make, and you should have a man resource that is capable of doing problem solving, you know, doing problem solving or doing decision making uh, in the management of the chicken broiler production. Okay, I hope you like this presentation of this exercise, and what thank you for watching.